Oh, hi everybody. Mike Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer Hobby Supply. Today we're going to do the ACT3 update 15, and it's going to appear and probably take me not very long to explain what's been going on, but I will show you what's been going on, and it's going to be very short. It's going to appear like it's nothing happened, but anyway, a lot has happened. But let's take a look. Okay, in video 14 I told you I had all this track laid out. What I have done is gone back and marked every piece of track here so that I can document that on my sheet. I think I mentioned that I was going to do that. And I did trace all the track out when I had it laid out here. Have every piece in here. And like I said, I can go back and document it, but it allowed me to remove all this track, clean all this track, and put it back where it goes. You'll see that I have one cut piece of track right here. Just didn't quite have the right amount of angle here. I have all the turnouts cleaned, all the track cleaned as well as it can be cleaned. I did have to use maybe one or two new turnouts because after I cleaned them they just didn't function. But all this track is exactly where it goes now. It all has feeders, as you can see right here. Let me try and get this. Here's a feeder. By the way, let me back up just a little bit. Here's where the grade crossing will go when we get the grade crossings, and I think they should be here this week. I have the position of the where am I at here? I have the position of the sensors, as I said, the feeders, but the sensors. I put a piece of track that's the size of the sensor, so all I can have to do is pull out the piece and put the sensor in. I have a sensor here. I have a sensor here, which is pretty close to the crossing. So this will be a slow speed zone, because you got to give the crossing gate time to get down. And then if I swing way over here, the incoming sensor is right there. So as the train is coming into the yard, it'll hit that sensor and the gate will already be down by the time it gets here. But as I'm fiddling in the yard, the train will be in slow motion and have to cross the sensor and wait for the signal to come down. You'll also note, here's something else that I found convenient on this yard. Since the yard is all facing one direction, I just wrote down here on the foam that the blue wire of all my feeders goes on the outside. This makes guesswork a lot easier when you come out here day after day and you forget which wire you put on the outside, so that you can make all your feeder wires consistent. In fact, here's one of the new turnouts that I had to use. I couldn't get the one that I had there to work. All this now works. Oh, I'm sorry, there is one more cut piece right here. But nevertheless, you can see that all the track work was laid out and marked. All the track pieces are labeled so that they can... Sorry about that, tripped over something. Anyway, they're all labeled, everything works. I've run trains in and out. And the next news is, and I think we've covered this before, but all these sidings are just in here. I'll have to, the sidings might change, the configuration of the sidings might change once I get industries placed and once I get the contour of all this slope along here done. And as I said, this is a caboose and maybe maintenance away track. I've got the turntable in place. As you saw the foam cutting video, possibly I've cut out the foam to level up the turntable and the tracks. What I don't have installed right now, but I have them over here, is the bumpers that go on here. There's going to be bumpers on there. I will use a Walthers bumper in the track right there and a Walthers bumper in the track right there, and also right there. But the turntable functions perfectly. Someone has asked me about weathering both, or maybe multiple people have. I am way far away from considering that at this moment. I'm going to make sure I start doing scenery and make sure everything fits properly. the contour of this, now that I look at this, the contour of this might change somewhat. I've also made a decision, and I have it on my workbench, and I've got to get busy building it. But I've already decided that from this joint right here, which will have to be desoldered, and I don't know, somewhere over there in that curve, I'm thinking of using a micro-engineering tall trestle and cut it down to the proper height. It would give this area a little more scenic value, open scenic value through, so you can see what's going on the other side, as well as looking like there was a purpose for putting the engine house this close to a straight cliff. The scenery will probably slope up over here. I may even put an extension on the trestle to get over where that's going to go through. I'm not real sure how this is going to pan out, but I'm pretty sure it's going to start right here and go 24 inch. I got a 24 inch one, so those are 9 3/4. That's about 20 inches. So I've got 4 more inches. I may add another section to it to get over there and put a straight concrete something wall there. Okay, gang, I'm back. I was a customer calling. I have the phones out here. Anyway, I don't know exactly where I left off, but the turntable, everything works well. I've got the turntable controller under here. All the wiring is just kind of temporary laying here. I've got a ACTRR or something there that I'm using as a reversing circuit. The turntable functions really good. It has become obvious to me that 2 locomotives won't fit on the table. I'm pretty sure they won't. Let's give that a try. Okay, as we see here, an AB unit will not fit on the table. So, whenever I need to turn these locomotives around, at least the AB unit, I'll have to split them in half to turn them around, which not necessarily a big deal. Maybe what our railroad will start doing is running AA units. While I can't turn them around, I can just switch ends. So if I disconnect from a train, like this, I could disconnect an AA, reverse facing A unit, and I could just run it around this train, remove the caboose, set the caboose to the side, or run it down to the caboose track, hook onto that end of the locomotive, or hook onto another train and attach that caboose to another train or any caboose, and I could leave in the appropriate direction. And that may be what we wind up having to do here. God knows I have enough A units. I don't know whether that was something that Santa Fe really did, but I do know that that's the way Santa Fe does it now on their branch lines. They run 2 locomotives forward opposed so that they can run up here, run around, and run back in the other cab. So that may be what our procedure is on the ACT here. Aside from that, gang, I don't know. I got one more thing to show you before I leave for update 15. Let's take a look. Okay, everybody, I did omit one thing that I forgot that I was going to tell everybody before I got sidetracked. And that is that Gavin and I decided that we're going to hand operate almost all these turnouts, if not all these turnouts out here, because there'll be very little, if any, scenery in front of them to be able to hand operate them. The only ones we might change our mind about are the ones way down there at the other end on the other side behind the roundhouse, or the turntable and the roundhouse. I may connect those to a DS64 or something where I can use push buttons on the front fascia and do those with push buttons. Any that I am not able to reach will probably have push buttons on the fascia as far as the branch line goes. And as you all know, all of the turnouts on the rest of the main line are all done with the DS64s. So let's move on to something else I want to show you. I'm going to create. Okay, the first question would be, what on earth is that? Well, what it is, it's 2 pieces of blue 1-inch foam, 2-inch foam rather, glued together. And I laid it flat and took a torch and just burned the P-wadding out of it. What is it going to be? It's going to be an Indian cliff dwelling. I'm going to go in, I'll be able to go in here, and I may pop some of this, the hard stuff out of here. I'm not really sure, I haven't messed with it yet, but somehow this is going to wind up being a cut back into some rock, and the Indian cliff dwellings will be built within this hollow. And then this will be inserted back there. It'll be up higher than that, but that's where it goes. So I will be making the Indian ruin and putting it back there at a later time. But this allows me to make it out here and then insert it back there. Of course, I can contour all these outer edges and contour the top up here and all of that stuff. But anyway, that's what my plan is on how to make the cliff dwellings. I've always wanted to put another cliff dwelling on a layout, and this is going to be it. Okay, everybody. I told you I was going to do a little contouring on this, and I kind of have some time to burn here. So, time to burn, I guess that's kind of funny. Anyways, I am gonna try and do a little contouring to this. So let's see how this works. You can see it's taking a little bit of a shape. I need to cut part of the top of this off. The foam cutter doesn't like cutting where it was melted too much because of the material being hard at that point. But let me try and round this edge up over here. As you can see there, I kind of moved the tool around a little bit to give this a little bit of odd contour. I can work on the shape of the outer edges with plaster at some point. So I'm not too concerned about the outer edges per se. Now you can see that it's kind of taking a little bit of a shape. I'm not going to bother going into the rest of it for now. I'll experiment with what I want here shape-wise, and you guys will see it down the road somewhere. But this is how it's going to be created. Okay, everybody, here's a shape that I think I'm happy with. I'm going to have to set it back in there and check it out, and we'll go from there. Okay, I decided to add this. Once I got it up there and I put it up as high as I thought it should be, it looked overpowering. So what I've done is cut it down considerably. It's leaning back a little bit. It's about an inch out from the wall, and I kind of like the height and angle of this one, of this shape here. So I think this is probably what I'm going to go with. But anyway, I'll let you guys go. Well, everybody, hope you enjoyed that video 15, and as usual, thanks for watching.